Hi, my name is Miriam Cutelis, and I am a National Board Certified Art Teacher. And my presentation is about tips on achieving success on the national boards, especially with art education. Just a little bit about me. I've been teaching for 21 years. I'm National Board Certified now for 2 years. I hold 2 masters in special ed, one in early childhood and one in leadership. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I have my own education blog now for about 12 years, and I have a YouTube channel by my name. So again, the tips I'm going to give you are very specifically for early childhood and middle childhood arts standards, but I am very sure that a lot of these tips apply to a lot more than that. So feel free to listen, even if that's not what you're applying for. So the National Boards is primarily about writing. I have a blog now for about 12 years, so I'm very used to writing about education. You can find my blog at cutelisart.blogspot.com. And I feel that having written about art really helped me with the national boards. By the way, I should also share that I did not pass the first time. I did try for all 4 components all in 1 year, and I didn't pass. I decided I was going to retake a part of component 1 and redo component 3, which I believe is the video component. So those 2 I redid, and then I finally passed. So it took me about 2 years to get it done. So as I said, passing the national boards is primarily about being able to write about your education experience. And you should know very clearly how to write something where you're analyzing something, where you are explaining, where you're reflecting, where you are describing and evaluating. So those are all very different types of writing. They have different kinds of requirements. I'm not going to go into that. Once you're able to take these words seriously, when they want you to explain something, they want you to explain it. When they want you to evaluate it, the writing is going to look very different. So I am a big proponent of keeping things very organized. There are a lot of files that need to be sent to them at the end. So from the very beginning, organize everything, organize your folders so that you're able to find the forms, you're able to find the instructions, you're able to quickly get to them. So this is the first thing you're going to do. So once you decide you're going to do this, you're going to make folders for everything. And I don't mean physical folders. I guess you can't hurt to print everything out and put them in physical folders. What I mean are putting them into online somewhere on your computer desktop or in a Google Drive. I am also a big proponent of having your own personal Google. So you might work for a district where you are offered your Google that's related to the district. So I think the most important thing is to also save everything, but in your own personal folders, your own personal everything. There is just so much material that you're going to be accumulating that if you end up moving districts, all of this material they're going to be very valuable for you. So keeping them in your own personal account will be very helpful. So then you don't have to move them if you do relocate. So read the whole thing. Now there are component instructions to each component, and it is very steeped in instructions everywhere. Now, when you first read it, it's going to be quite shocking because there's just so many instructions. And this is the part where I would suggest printing it and highlighting parts, because you're going to be, so I do suggest printing the instructions for each component and get in some kind of a marker system or underline marker, so that you are become intimately aware of all the instructions and things that you need to pay attention to. So in this case, I do think that you need to print the instructions. Maybe not the forms, but definitely the instructions. Pacing is a big deal. When people would ask me how my national boards are going for those 2 years, I would always run out of breath because it's just such a huge ordeal that, and I was dragging my feet. And I think looking back now, I wish I had paced myself. And by that, I mean like really scheduled a time during the day or once a day or every other day on my calendar, where I would be chipping away at it. And I put this guy who's chiseling away at something, because I really think that the only way you can really attack something that big is to give yourself the time and schedule that time. Okay, component 1 for the art has computer-based assessment, which is you're answering questions, and then a constructive response where you are typing a response. I wanted to give you an example of how I practice for it. Is there's some concepts that I wasn't really familiar with. Like I'm an English language learner. I learned English when I was in 4th grade. The word aesthetics did not really mean anything to me. So I went ahead and really took that word apart. Take the concepts seriously, really dig deep. Do your homework, go and Google it. There's nothing out there that hasn't been written about in detail. So I did have to really delve into aesthetics and what that meant. It's important to underline what it is you think they're looking for. Like, for example, here, understanding of aesthetic theory. Again, as I told you at the beginning, my training in education came from special education. So there are going to be some gaps in my learning. And depending on where it is you come from into your field, there are going to be some gaps. And it's up to you to identify where these gaps are. So for me, it was like aesthetic theory. Woo! Completely went over my head. I had to go ahead and delve deep into those concepts. So definitely for component 1, do all the sample selected response items and then some. Let's look at the rubric. It is so important that you read the rubrics and you identify the differences in the different levels. So let me show you 2 levels, so level 4 and level 3. You definitely want to be in level 4. And you know those art things where in the magazines where they always say, what's the difference? And you have to spot the difference. Same thing here. You have to spot the difference, and it's very easy what the difference is here. For level 3, you're just clear. For level 4, you're clear, consistent, and convincing. Reading the rubric is going to be the most helpful thing. So I find that a lot of people don't actually do that. And so I'm mentioning that here. So writing about art, use the examples and apply the same questions to other art pieces for practice. So here is an example for a writing prompt. And they give you a writing prompt and they give you 2 art pieces for the example and in the booklet. So it says you must address each of the followings in your response. Analyze the media tools. And so these are the questions that you're going to be writing about. Now, take these questions and pick 2 new pieces of art. And then the next week, take another 2 pieces of art and just keep answering those same questions, but with different pieces of art. And you will definitely be much more prepared. So it's not, that's a way to sort of maximize on the examples that they're giving you. So then there's component 2, component 3, and component 4. And I mean, we can go into days and days and days of tips for each of these, but I'm going to give you a couple of tips that will apply to these three. Again, reading the rubric and catching the difference between the rubrics. I cannot specify that enough. Go around and read the rubric for each of the components. They each have a rubric, and it's golden. It's like someone who's grading it tell you right there, this is what we're going to give you a 4 for. Answer the questions, and it's that simple. Now, the wonderful, rich booklet of descriptions for each component give you the actual questions that the graders are looking for. Let me repeat. They're giving you each question, and each question has to be answered. So it's really that simple. You are being graded on whether you answer each question. So why not start from there? So let me give you the first example. Look at that arrow. It says, what is your school setting? And what is your class size? And what are the ages and grades of the students? Just answer the question. So a good example, everything in bullets first. So I encourage you to write everything in bullets first. Why not? You're answering each question like exactly how you were taught to write in middle school. Simple and clean and clear. So you're basically answering those questions. My school setting is, how they taught you how to rephrase the question into the answer? Do that. My class size is, the kids' ages are, the class's subject matter is. So you're rephrasing the question into the answer. You can't go wrong from there, because it's like a checkbox. The graders have a checkbox, and they're just checking off to see if you've answered a question. How flowery your language is, how amazing you are as a fiction writer, does not matter. Did you answer the question? Same, next question. These are just examples, and this is exactly from the booklet. What are the relevant characteristics of this class that influence the selection of this instructional sequence? Give any other information that might help assessors see this class. Okay, so take that question and flesh it out. So the relevant, you're basically flipping it, and you're answering it the way you did in middle school. The relevant characteristics of this class that influence the selection of this instructional sequence are. So you're just rephrasing the question as an answer, right? And then you're listing all your ideas. What are they? But always, I bulleted my entire project, and then you turn it into a succinct paragraph. And then that way you have check, you've answered all your questions. This is nothing new. This is what you did, again, in middle school, maybe even late elementary. And it's about whether you answered your question. You can go ahead and add all the flowery language you want in there after, but the question is not answered, you are not going to be graded well. That is about it, and I hope my video was helpful. Again, my tips are hopefully going to help not just art teachers that want to be National Board Certified, but pretty much those tips I think go for anyone. So good luck, everyone. Put your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thanks.